You are listening to the Fan Club Podcast, where two polar opposites experience each other's fandoms for the very first time.
Hey guys, welcome to episode, are we 13? It's lucky number 13.
Ooh.
And we are joined by some friends today. This is Sammy and Tyler of Team Unicorn. Introduce yourselves.
Hello.
We are Team Unicorn.
Yes, I'm Sammy.
And I'm Tyler. We do a little bit of everything, but it's kind of Disney specific.
It's mostly Disney with a good helping of Marvel.
We do a lot of the stuff with the Disney movies itself. We are avid park goers, so we do a lot of Disney park material as well. But then, like Sammy said, like we sprinkle in quite a bit of Marvel. So we do a lot of Marvel games or reviews or rankings on our channel. So Disney and Marvel are
there's
our main.
been so much Marvel content lately. It's hard not to like incorporate that with like as big of Marvel fans as we are. So
well, and especially because you guys cover some park stuff, and there's been a lot of Marvel park content too, with Avengers and the new Guardians ride and all that stuff. So
yeah, we just got to go to we just went to Disneyland in March of this year and got to experience Avengers Campus for the first time, and
that was amazing.
That was absolutely incredible. It was such like that was a core memory moment for us.
A theme park chicken sandwiches never look so delicious.
Oh gosh. Yeah, you have to try that.
It's just I love the theming. Like, I love a good theme. I love a theme party. I love a theme park. Like, I love a good theme, and I think that, like, nobody does it like this.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And, like, that land does not disappoint. Like, it's so immersive, and I love how it keeps up with, like, the current content that they're showing. So, like, they have, like, Miss Marvel in the park, like, with the show coming out, and
they've had Moon Knight and Shang-Chi, and
yep.
It's almost kind of surreal, like, walking in as being a huge fan, because, like, they are immersing you in this world, and like, since we're talking about Captain America: Civil War today, I kind of felt like Ant-Man, Scott Lang, when he gets like ripped out of the van, and he's like, "Hey, I know you. Hey, I know you too. You're pretty cool." Like that was me walking through, like saying hi to Loki or taking pictures with King T'Challa. So like, I felt very much like fanboyish in the sense that like Scott was like that with all these superheroes.
Yeah.
So today we are covering Captain America: Civil War, and when we got with you guys, this was the one that like you guys jumped at the bit to cover.
Yeah,
we did. It was a little bit of a hard decision. Like, and I don't know if we come back for another one, because I know Thor Ragnarok was on the list, and that's one of my favorites. But I know we both love Captain America.
Today will be an interesting conversation because I think Matthew has really strong feelings. I do too, but less divisive, I should say. Civil War was released in 2016 and directed by the Russo brothers, who also, which other movie did they do? Was it Ultron?
They did Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier, yeah. You know, and that was something like we've talked about this on our podcast before, but like Winter Soldier has always been like, in my mind, the go-to like high standard for like Marvel films, and especially Cap, like because I absolutely adore his series and like he is my favorite Avenger. But then watching this again, like doing research for this episode, I'm just like, is it Civil War? Like, am I wrong? Like, is Civil War better than Winter Soldier?
Well, because we watched this 2 or 3 weeks ago at this point, and then we rewatched it yesterday. Okay. And I was like, in the back of my brain, the entire movie, I was like, yeah, I could see myself putting this on a rainy day. Like, it's such a fantastic movie. Like,
oh, good. I'm so glad that you like this movie.
It's like just a movie. It is such a fun movie.
It really is. I love like just like the one-liners in it.
It's definitely such like it's got a little bit of everything, or it's got a little bit of something for everybody, and with such a big ensemble, like there's so much story there that it'll definitely like appeal to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So starting off, we have a flashback to 1991, and Bucky is basically getting frozen, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We jump to modern day, and they're in Lagos, Nigeria.
Yeah.
they know that Rumlow is going to destroy something, but they don't know what. They assume it's the police station, but they are mistaken when they realize that there's a 1,000-pound trash truck heading towards their CDC.
I love this little quippy scene between Wanda and Black Widow, where they're like, sitting in a coffee shop with their speaking into their little microphones.
Yes.
Yeah, and it seems like it was a really good place to really build this is a team, this is kind of a juncture of the Avengers, they're working really, really well together, and they're covering everyone's bases. That Lagos scene is just really well done to set up the story here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's about a year or so.
Yeah, we're always trying to figure out exactly what happened.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a year after Ultron.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Because I don't know how long after Ant-Man is the war. That's the thing, because Ant-Man is right after.
It seems relatively recent by Scott Lang's reaction.
Yeah, I know. In the beginning of the MCU, the first couple of phases, for the most part, the movies when they came out, were based on the year that they came out. So if the Avengers came out in 2012, that's when the events happened in 2012. And it's not a foolproof plan, but a lot of times that's kind of how Marvel operated. It was coming out in the events were happening in the year that the movie was coming out, just to base a basic timeline on.
So we have this little scene between Wanda and Natasha, which I was just glad we get more Wanda. We get a lot of Wanda in this movie, which I'm not mad about. And I am
yes.
I love her already, and I barely know anything about her, so I'm excited to get to more Wanda.
Oh yes, I love how her character evolves, and if you get to WandaVision, I don't think you'll be disappointed.
Oh yeah, I'm really excited. I love her. And Falcon gets new armor, and he has a little drone.
Red Wing.
Which apparently didn't comics that it's supposed to be an actual Falcon.
Yes, it is an actual bird,
which I think is cool.
Yeah, and it was a lot more comic. I shouldn't say it's super comic accurate, but with the colors that they chose for his suit, it was getting a little bit closer to that comic accuracy that I know that Mackie was really kind of pushing for.
Yeah, he wanted to have the most comic accurate costume. Granted, Iron Man's is comic book accurate, just because it has 10,000 different suits.
Yeah.
Cap is not really. Wanda's is not. Black Widow's is kind of an Iron Man 2. Is the closest to her outfit that we get in the comic. Then we don't talk about Hawkeye.
They just had to show off Jeremy Renner's biceps.
Yeah, well, I think if you had Jeremy Renner walking around with a big old arrow and a H on his head, some people might be what the heck are they doing over there at Marvel Studios?
So there's this plot point in this scene about the Rumlow, is his name, trying to steal the infectious diseases for biological warfare, but they don't do anything with it, and I was a little confused about that.
They don't really do a whole lot with it. That's the thing. They don't talk about this disease in any future movie.
Yeah, I don't really know. I think it
was just more of a plot.
He's a bad dude and he wants to do something bad with a biological weapon.
Yeah, well, and I think it was just more of them coming together as a team to try to find somebody, and I think trying to show them working together.
Yeah, that sounds.
That does make sense. I just wish they didn't drop that plot point like a hot potato, because that could have been interesting.
It would have been nice if that somehow tied into an antidote or something for that Winter Soldier program that we'll see later in the movie kind of pop back up again. If that was the one antidote to save Winter Soldier, that was I don't know, the one antidote that could have cured Bucky, and he was trying to steal it or blow it up or something.
Just the only reason I made a note of it to begin with, is because I thought it was going to come back.
Oh, yeah, no, I think they just needed, I think for them to, like, show them working together as a team, and then I think, like, when Wanda, like, like, you know, she kind of gets the
gas out of the building?
Yeah, the gas, and, well, and then she blows up the, I don't know what building that is, the Wakandan diplomats or whatever, and then she blows that up. I think they just kind of use that more as as a device to, want to push for, like, the Sokovia Accords. So I think those are the main two reasons, would be my guess, to, like, kind of drive that plot point. But
yeah,
other than that, it doesn't really get brought up again.
Since you brought up her removing the gas from the building, I love her powers now. I just think it's, like, so cool.
It's a sick move, isn't it? Like, all of a sudden you just see her, and there's a huge, like, tornado of, like, gross gas going up into the air. It's a sweet visual, isn't it?
She can suddenly fly in this movie?
Yeah.
Yep. Her powers is more manipulative matter, is what it more feels like for me. Not modifying stuff, more just changing matter as a whole.
And we get Natasha continuing to be a complete badass and just kicking everybody, but yeah, I do think sometimes she could just, you know, like, run from point A to point B. She doesn't get to flip over everything, but it is cool.
But how cool would that be if she was just running from point A to B?
I love that Falcon is like, say thank you.
I'm not thinking that thing. No.
Say thank you to Red Wing.
Yeah,
and she's like, I'm not saying thank you to that thing. On the subject of Wanda, the explosion that she causes breaks my freaking heart.
Oh, I know. Like, you can just see it in her face, like, how devastated she is, like, just realizing what she did.
She has her, like, ball of magic, and she's trying to like, grab the bad guy from, like, midair, and then she, like, sends her magic into the building and explodes it. It's heartbreaking. And she knows what happens instantaneously.
Yeah, and you can tell that Cap even feels that same way too, because, like, it almost feels like he's about to break down in that scene, but then he's like, okay, I need emergency medics, I need evac in here, like, but, like, you can tell in his voice, like, he's trying not to cry because, like, it's such a devastating scene that happened, and it's just wasn't meant to work out that way.
Yeah. But yeah, I was just, like, really sad for her, and it really sets the stage for Wanda throughout this entire rest of the movie, and it just, oh my god, that scene, like, instantly the whole scene is like, go, 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 and then you're, like, immediately like, oh my god, you're, like, heart-wrenching. Like, I felt that watching it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Because, like, it just is me, like, you know, she's trying to figure out what to do with it. And then, like, yeah, she does something, but then it's not the right something, obviously. And, yeah, you see it in her face. And
Yes, for sure. We immediately go into this scene, which kind of took me aback because I thought I was missing, like, a title card or something. But it's this, like, scene between young Tony and his parents.
Oh, yeah, the barf.
And...
Learn more about.
But I thought I was missing a title card because I thought we were just, like, getting a random flashback. I didn't realize, like, it was more of, like, a simulation of this event.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like the de-aging of Robert Downey Jr. is incredible, like, incredible.
They did a really good job. My only complaint is that I feel like his cheeks are too, like, spread out, so his mouth, like, is just open, like, awkwardly. So, like, they did such a good job on it, but I'm just kind of like, what, like, is he, like, got something in his cheeks? Is he, like, what's going on with that? It's my only critique about the special effects in that scene. It's just his cheeks just look a little off. And...
but it's the last scene that he has with his parents before they die. And in retrospect, it is kind of a heart-wrenching scene just because, you know, Tony Stark as a human being is kind of a flippant, like, person, and he doesn't really take anything seriously. And here he is having this last conversation with his parents, and it is very Tony Stark, but it's also sad when you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and then him just kind of wishing he could go back and do it differently, which is what, we're seeing there.
And so we figure out that this is kind of a simulated thing because he's talking to MIT, and he basically funds all of their projects, all of their grants at MIT, which comes into play later with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which I spoiled. Everybody who's watching this has seen the movie, so I'm not. And then we get this scene between backstage. Tony comes in contact with this woman whose son died in Sokovia.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And this woman is she's in Get Out. She's the maid in Get Out. Have you guys seen that movie?
Yes, we have seen that movie. She's also, it's Viola Davis.
Yeah, it's Viola Davis.
We absolutely love her.
I don't think
it is Viola Davis.
It's Alfred Woodward.
Alfred Woodward. Sorry. That is my bad. Yeah, I got that wrong. She's also in, I don't know if you're going to ever extrapolate on this, but she also plays a character in the Netflix series Luke Cage. But, it's not the same character. They completely, recasted her at all. And it's weird seeing her in both of them, but she does an amazing job in both.
She's also in she's Aunt Josephine in Series of Unfortunate Events.
In the Netflix show, Series of Unfortunate Events.
She's Josephine.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that one.
I haven't seen that.
Matthew's a huge Lemony Snicket fan,
which I don't know why I didn't recognize her.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't either. I immediately recognized her from Get Out. We figure out that her son was, we technically figured this out later, but her son was volunteering in Sokovia and gets killed in the whatever happens in Ultron.
She was also in a 2010 TV miniseries of Black Panther. She was
Fun.
Black Panther's mom in it.
Oh, that's interesting.
Did not know that there was a mini TV series in 2010.
We get introduced to T'Challa and what's his dad's name? T'Chaka?
I think so.
T'Chaka.
Yeah.
We get introduced to them talking about how Scarlet Witch killed a bunch of people on a mission trip that were from Wakanda.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Which leads up to the general coming in.
Yes.
Or not general, Secretary of State.
Which Matthew has beef with Ross.
Thunderbolt.
What's your beef with Ross?
Thunderbolt Ross.
He does not like Ross at all.
Not in the slightest.
Can you expound on that, or is it spoilery?
No, he's not brought up anymore. This is the last time we see him. Just because of the events.
They seem skeptical, so...
So, my reasoning is more from the comic book side, not from the MCU.
You just wanted to see him big red hulked out with the J.J. Jonason buzz cut on there.
I wanted to see Thunderbolt, not General Ross. I wanted Thunderbolt. But I'm also, just based on the World War Hulk comic series, I'm not a huge fan of what he did to also Hulk when he came back from.
Okay.
From there, I don't want to...
I guess that's fair.
I don't want to say the planet because it is kind of
spoilery?
Yeah. But I'm just not a huge fan of how Thunderbolt treated Hulk in that arc.
Yeah, and he's definitely got obviously a way different kind of storyline or kind of character traits in the MCU version of Thunderbolt Ross.
Yes.
I do think that he makes a very good antagonist for not being superpowered at all. He's obviously he's just a government agent.
He plays an evil character without being evil.
Well, because he's very he's very anti-super, which immediately makes me think of The Incredibles. But he's very anti-super. He doesn't. I think the best way to describe Ross is bureaucratic, honestly.
Yeah, and I think, with this scene with introducing the Sokovia Accords, I think is I think it was a really smart way to, bring in, hey, Avengers, you guys are causing, real world problems, even though you're not be saving people, but you're also hurting people, too, and, showing all the footage, and, you can just see Wanda, getting upset, and Steve getting upset about what happened in DC, and was like, yeah, like I think that's the perfect kind of device that they needed in this movie to be like, hey, like you guys might be helping some people, but you're not helping everybody.
So this presents the, in my opinion, central conflict is Team Cap or Team Tony.
Yeah.
I don't, and I know you guys are our audio podcast, but if you could see the background that you guys are seeing, like you could definitely tell we're Team Cap over here.
So Matthew has really strong feelings about this. That he is Team Tony, like through and through.
Yeah.
On this one.
Okay.
I'm more Team Tony with the comic side of Civil War, just based on the events. Yes, there needs to be accountability for the supers.
Okay.
If Wanda turned evil, she could destroy the planet. If Black Widow could, she could destroy governments easily. Iron Man, they're all able to destroy governments and cities if they wanted to. There needs to be some accountability to their actions, kind of like, not to bring in another fandom, but kind of like...
We do it all the time.
Like Batman, like Batman Doom, the animated movie, where bad guys in DC, got the contingency plans to end the Justice League.
I think that reference went over everybody's head.
There's an animated movie in DC where Bane and a bunch of other supervillains learned how to defeat the Justice League. There needs to be contingency plans in case if supers turn evil.
Yes,
I'm
kind of
more
torn.
why
I don't know which
Team
side.
Tony.
I don't know which side I lean on.
But I don't think the government should have a say in it. There should be contingencies within themselves. Also.
And yeah, I understand that, and I get where like the Sokovia Accords were coming into place, but it just seemed like Steve said, like the people that are like who's running or who's making that choice for them, who's running that government or that that Sokovian panel, like are there like deep state members of Hydra who that are kind of hidden in there, and like they're gonna make the Avengers do something that they don't want to do, or keep them away from something that Hydra's trying to do. Like, so I agree that there should be accountability, and I do agree with Tony in that sense that there should be accountability. But
like, I remember us talking, like, when this movie came out, like, a lot of, like, talk and debate of, like, Team Cap or Team Iron Man, and, like, I don't know, I just, like, I believe in Cap, like, I believe in what he stands for, and, like, he says, like, the safest hands are still our own, and I believe that when it comes to that, like, they're gonna make the best decision, like, with the information that they have and, like, what they can do. Like, I don't think at any point, like, their thought process or, like, their goal is to, like, create more chaos. Like, I think, like, if chaos is coming, like, sometimes, like, some people are gonna get hurt, but I think you're saving the greater good. So, I don't know. I like Team Cap.
So. I feel like I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm torn a little bit because I kind of see both sides. I don't want to completely jump the gun because I feel like we're too far into the movie to get into the whole, like, whether Cap should have told Tony about his parents thing. At that point, I am firmly Team Tony. But we'll get there.
That's also kind of like what Vision said in that statistically, there's been more super villains since Tony became Iron Man. There weren't any between Cap freezing in the ocean to 2008 when Tony made the Iron Man suit. There were barely any supervillains between those 2 points in time
that we know of.
Yeah, or at least in the MCU wise. Since Tony becoming Iron Man, there's been a significant amount of new super villains. With Cap waking up, that brings in some of his older villains that come back, things like that.
Yeah. We also have a little scene where Zemo, played by Daniel Bruhl, I don't know if I'm saying that name right. He's German. I don't speak German. I'm sorry. But he wants the mission report. Fun fact, this guy, he is in a movie called Colonia with Emma Watson, which is amazing.
Oh,
Okay.
I've not heard of that.
It's about a cult. It used to be on Netflix. It's about a cult that's set in, I think, like Argentina. I think it's South America.
Oh, okay, and we're fans of Emma Watson, so
Yeah.
And then I have a note that's literally all caps, no, with like eight O's, and like just Peggy in all caps.
I know. I like when you we're watching Winter Soldier.
I was like,
yeah,
so
and
mad.
you're like, she better not die. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
As soon as I heard that, all I saw in my mind was like side emojis, or side eye emoji. Like, she's not gonna like Civil War then.
Yeah,
no.
And like Matthew keeps having to remind me she's like freaking 90.
Yeah.
But still, I'm like.
But I love Sharon Carter when she gives her speech at her funeral and she makes that or she says like planting yourself like a tree. Like I love that speech. And you said it's
almost like it's not like word for word, but like it's very heavily paraphrased from like the comics. So like that was like one of the first scenes where I'm just like I'm watching and I'm just like I remember that from the comics. It didn't pan out like the exact same way, but like I really liked that they pulled a lot of like comic book into this movie,
which I feel like is kind of like a tip of the hat to the comic readers.
Yeah, there was a lot of that in this movie, and there's a scene at the end of the movie that I'm sure we'll get to that very much did that for me. And as soon as I saw it, I'm just like, oh my god, like this is the comic book.
So there's a scene between Natasha and Cap. And there's this line that she said that I loved. That's just because it's the path of least resistance doesn't mean it's the wrong path, which I love.
Yeah, and I think she also mentioned something to the fact that like you know staying together is more important than how we stay together, and like I feel like they're really fighting to make Cap reconsider, and I really I love that Natasha is trying so hard for her friend to like reconsider this. But then, you know, Steve's just gotta be Steve, and, you know, he's gotta fight the fight that he thinks he needs to fight.
Yeah, I love the relationships between, like, the little small scenes that we get between just two of the Avengers. And, like, they're just, like, you can actually tell that they love each other, they care about each other. But fundamentally, they are different people. And I love that. Like, I love that Natasha was coming to him and be like, hey, I care about you, I love you, but, like, you're in the wrong here. I love when, I mean, it really is the whole, like, it takes courage to stand up to your enemies, but the great deal more to stand up to your friends.
Yes.
And if
for
you completely missed that reference, that's a Harry Potter reference for all those people who are taking shots every time I make one.
Well, we can't be friends if you did not get that one. Like,
so they go to Vienna to sign the Accords, and there's a explosion. I think it's weird that T'Challa is like watching the window the entire time. They're in this like formal.
No, because he's also Black Panther, so he does have extremely well hearing also.
Yeah.
So
I just like they're in this like very formal press conference.
It's probably he overheard some commotion outside and then looked and saw that people were running from a vehicle.
We've established I'm bad at paying attention to things.
Yes. Yes, you are.
Yeah, and I think from the standpoint from where T'Challa was in that room, he was off to the side by the window, so he could see what was going on down below, or he at least had a little better, you know, visual painter, or even sort of like a visual cue of what could be happening outside, as opposed to like I think like Natasha, who was like sitting like kind of right in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think just given who he is, I think it's just kind of second nature almost to, like...
Watch your back.
Yeah, just kind of watch your back, watch your surroundings, like, you know, kind of know what's around you, so...
And basically we figure out that, quote-unquote, Bucky, figure out later that it's not actually Bucky, but there's a bomb that's set, and T'Chaka, the king, is killed in this. And T'Challa basically has this vendetta against Bucky the entire rest of the film.
Yes.
Which I think is a really good character development, because we have a really nice scene later where he has this kind of about face where he realizes that it's not worth the energy for him to fight for vengeance, and I think that that's a really nice little plot point for him.
Yeah, and that really, I think, speaks to his character, which, like, once you get to Black Panther, you'll see that.
Yeah. I just thought that was really nice to get some form of a character development from a character we don't really know very well, and we won't get to for a little bit. It's kind of nice to know that they did something with him, where it's not just, like, we're just going to put this other guy in here.
So originally, he was going to have a very small part, and Spider-Man was going to have a much bigger part. But Sony couldn't, or Marvel couldn't really...
But then Sony
was being Sony. And Sony and Disney couldn't agree, so Disney sort of wrote Spider-Man out and gave Black Panther a much bigger story in it. And then Sony said, yeah, you can have Spider-Man. So they gave him a little part. It looks like and reads like it was out of spite. They gave him a little part to pay Sony less.
I'm curious to hear what you guys think about the fact that we've gotten two brand new characters in this movie that haven't been established yet.
Yeah, I personally, I like when... what I don't like is when they just put a character in, don't do anything with them, and then you never see them. I like when Marvel plants seeds. Mm-hmm. And, like, it's a seed you might not see turn into a tree until, like, 6 films later, but it'll turn into a tree eventually.
Yeah.
Also, we've seen the distrust between Cap and Iron Man since Age of Ultron.
Well, we've seen it since before that.
We've seen it since Avengers 1. Their distrust for each other. Or not distrust. Their disagreements.
They've kind of had...
There's a general disdain for both of them. They definitely don't see eye to eye on everything.
Yeah. I think I said it in the Avengers episode. It's been quite a few weeks since we recorded this, so I'm not entirely sure what I said at this point. I think I said something along the lines of it. They're both very strong personalities. They're both natural-born leaders, and they don't really take to not being the leader very well. Black Panther's costume kind of reminds me of Catwoman, which Matthew rolled his eyes at.
Yeah.
It's the retractable claws for me.
I do think that for a standalone, or for, being kind of pushed into this huge movie, you do get a really, really good sense of the character. I do really like his costume, or his outfit in this movie. You just get, but it compared to, you'll find this out when you watch Black Panther. It's a very, like, muted version of what you could be experiencing.
So we have this whole highway fight scene, which apparently is, like, 100% real stunts. There's no stunt doubles.
Yes.
It's all them.
That is absolute nutty.
When Bucky took the motorcycle away from the other guy, he actually did that in real life. No wires, no nothing.
These guys are maniacs.
Like, I absolutely love that scene. Like, I remember watching like the behind the scenes of it. Like, I don't know if it was like a DVD extra or something, but like they were showing like Cap and Bucky like running on these huge like rubber carpets that were being like driven by like cars going like 40-50 miles an hour, and like they were running on them, so it made them look like they were running that much faster. Like, that was all practical. That wasn't done in CGI, and I'm just like, why go through all that work? But it was so awesome.
Like, I love that scene. That's one of my favorites.
In a lot of fight scenes in movies, a lot of the times the actors will be running on what essentially is a treadmill. And they'll CGI whatever there is chasing them in.
Yeah.
But like, they didn't do that. They completely, like, it's insane to see these guys like running this fast. Like, their strides are huge.
And then also with the car like spinning, and then Cap runs out while the bridge is collapsing through the rubble was also all real, and all of that was just impressive.
And let's not forget, this whole fight scene on the highway or whatever all started because all Bucky wanted was his plums.
Yeah, he just wanted his plums.
He just wanted his plums.
Which I read something somewhere that apparently plums are proven to help with Alzheimer's.
Yes,
oh my gosh!
I had that in my notes. It helps with memory, brain function and memory.
I read that.
Yes, that's so fitting.
I read that.
Bucky
I was
and
like,
his plums.
that's an amazing tiny detail.
I feel like that you get a lot of those with the Russo brothers.
I wish the listeners could have seen the reaction to that.
Yeah.
Like we were waiting for you to come on, and she's like, I think I heard this. I think I remember hearing this somewhere, and she Googled it, and we added it to our notes.
Yeah, well, there's an artist that we followed years ago. I don't know, we've been following her for a while. She doesn't do much anymore, but it's Mint Doodles, and she's obsessed with Bucky. And I remember her drawing Bucky with the plums, and that's where I think I heard it, is because she said something about it. It helps with memory and stuff. And so yeah, every time I see that scene, I'm like, oh yeah, Bucky getting his plums. He wants his plums. Yeah, just help his brain get better.
And apparently, Sebastian Stan his native language is Romanian.
Yeah. And that's where I think they're in Bucharest, which is the capital of Romania. Yeah, Bucharest, yep.
So Cap gets arrested. Well, they all get arrested.
Yep.
Congratulations, Cap. You're a criminal.
Yeah.
This scene where Vision is cooking for Wanda is adorable.
Oh, it's so cute.
It just plants the little seeds of that nice little romance.
Obviously, I know in WandaVision they're married. I think this scene is so sweet, and it's just, I love the little touches they have. They have such subtlety to their relationship right now, and it's just it's adorable. But she tries to say, I'm gonna go to the store. I'm gonna get, just trying to escape, just trying to get out. And this kind of presents this debate on whether or not it's right for her to be in captivity, essentially.
Yeah, because that's essentially what they're doing, is that they want to keep her there so that way, she doesn't do any more damage.
Cap says in this next scene that if you put her in an internment camp.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that was quite the... he was being very hyperbolic about it, but it was very much Tony's hey, she could be in worse places. She could be in prison, or at the raft. She's at a 100-acre facility with a lap pool. But, should she be there?
This is Matthew's argument, is that she's basically at a 5-star hotel, essentially.
Or I don't think she's in captivity.
But she's not even allowed to go to the store.
But, I mean, if someone who can't really control their powers gets angry and blows something up...
I get what you're saying. I just don't necessarily think it's the most ethical thing.
But which is better, the need of the many or the need of the few?
I think she can control her powers. I mean, it's just
she's just new to having to control her powers. She knows how to do it. It's just when it comes down to that last seconds, moment, does she make the right play, or does she make the smart play? And that's just obviously it didn't work out the greatest in Lagos.
Yeah. There is a scene where this next scene is Tony trying to get Captain America to sign the Accords with these specialty pens. Mm-hmm. Something about
that his dad signed.
No, it was I think it was one of the presidents.
JFK had signed some
documents with it.
Something here with
was it JFK?
Oh, that was FDR.
FDR.
Yeah, that sounds better.
It was. And it's just another scene to illustrate their disdain for one another. I don't think that Tony walked into that scene thinking that he was gonna get Cap's signature.
He was close,
right?
I think he kind of knew where that was going.
And he was trying to be, especially for Tony, he was being as accommodating and as and compromising as much as he could be in that scene. Hey, we'll make everything legit. Just it's paperwork right now. We'll get it on the books and you'll be fine. But I think Tony's mouth just kind of got a little bit ahead of him later in that scene, and that's just kind of went downhill from there.
Yeah.
Oh, apparently they were the pens used to sign something to end the World War II. Being a Disney, historians, Disney fans, did you guys notice the number on Bucky's cell?
I don't think I've ever looked into it that much. Is it A113?
No, it's D23.
Oh, is it?
Oh,
yeah.
I never
noticed that.
To the uninitiated, the Walt Disney Company was founded in 1923. The big Disney convention that happens every year is called D23.
Yeah, no, I guess I never realized that because there's so much dialogue going on with like Zemo and like, you know, converting Bucky over with his Winter Soldier keywords or whatever they technically are called.
Trigger words.
The trigger words. So like I guess I never really noticed what the number and letter on the cell was.
So, upon a second viewing, I noticed that the subtitles spoil the plot twist about Zemo being the villain before it's revealed.
Yeah, it does.
In the subtitles, it says Zemo.
Yeah, it does.
Which is annoying.
Yeah, we're big subtitle users over here. I noticed that too when we watched it on Sunday. It was like, oh yeah, Zemo, and I'm like, wait, like that's not supposed to like. You're not supposed to know that quite yet.
Well, I mean, to be fair, and to Matthew's point that he made after I told him that, he was like, well, you don't know Zemo's name.
I guess that's true.
But in retrospect...
Right. And I guess that, like, if you know, like, because especially like with the newer films that come out, like, I'm always like, who's playing who, or like, what's this character playing in here? So, like, if you know, like, ahead of time going into the movie, like, this big name actor was signed on to play this actor, like, then you know kind of ahead of time. But, like, in your case, like, if you're seeing them all from the back end, like, you don't have any of those huge press releases that you have to, like, go through or, like, listen to trailers all the time. So, like, you don't really, it's kind of a benefit for you to kind of get that surprise still.
So we get this scene where Bucky breaks out of his cell, and this is the first point where I realized how absolutely jacked Sebastian Stan is.
Yeah.
Like, he literally looks like he's wearing multiple sweatshirts. He's that jacked.
Yeah, he's been eating a lot of plums.
Like, I remember I watched Gossip Girl when I was in high school, and he's a very small role in Gossip Girl, and he was downright scrawny in that show.
Oh, I never watched that.
I haven't watched it either, but I've seen pictures of him in it.
He is, like, because he's pretty young in that show, and he is, like, he's downright scrawny, and I was just, like, shocked at how jacked he was, even from Winter Soldier, even. Tony's watch that turns into his suit hand is so cool.
Such a sick move.
Yeah.
Such a sick move. Like, I know he's like, I don't have my... I think he said something like, I'm a non-combative civilian in this case, and all of a sudden just whips out, like, this really cool... this hand.
I feel like every single movie that Iron Man is in,
he has a new type of suit.
Well, no, I was going to say every single movie that we cover that has Iron Man in it, I'm like, oh, that suit up is really cool. That suit up is really cool. That suit up is really cool.
Just
like, every single one.
Until Endgame Infinity War. Some of those are
so far, this movie has my favorite when he's, like, flying away from the prison.
Oh, and he presses the button.
I would say, like, up to this point, probably my favorite would probably be Iron Man 2 when he's out at the, with the briefcase. The briefcase suit up. That's probably my favorite up to this point.
Yeah.
Mine is Hulkbuster. Just because...
Hulkbuster's so cool.
Just because if a part breaks on it, he can summon another part
It's like a lizard.
It's like a Lego set. If a part breaks, you just build it back together.
Then Matthew pointed out that T'Challa was controlling Bucky's hand at one point.
Kind of, it looks like it with his ring, because he stops Bucky's hand.
Because it's vibranium. Yeah, his silver hand is vibranium.
Yeah. He stops his ring. Or his ring stops Bucky's hand when they're fighting.
Yeah, that whole fight scene, especially, like, there's a lot of, like, you can tell, like, T'Challa, like, giving Bucky a run for his money when all the other ones are just kind of like, we're getting thrown out here, side, left and right.
Yeah.
T'Challa was the only one that really got a good lick on him.
I thought that if anyone was going to get some licks in, it would be Natasha, but she got her butt handed to her.
Also,
yeah, she did.
She was
choked out.
She doesn't have any of her weapons.
This is true.
She doesn't have the blasters.
And then we get, like, the pinnacle of Steve Rogers, in my personal opinion, is him trying to stop the helicopter.
Oh my god, I love that scene.
That is one of my favorite scenes in any Captain America, and probably any Marvel film, is just seeing Cap just like sheer strength.
The fact that was actually actually, Chris Evans is absolutely bonkers to me.
Yeah, we were just talking about that because he actually hurt himself, didn't he? Like doing that scene.
I just told her this before you guys hopped on that that's the Russo brothers like really wanted to see Chris like flex those muscles in this scene, so like they kept pulling the bar that was supposed to be like the helicopter kind of bar at the bottom. They kept pulling it away from him, so like he really needed to flex, and like he actually hurt himself doing that.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's the mom in me. I don't know. I'm worried that he's going to hurt himself.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it just does not seem safe. How did they let him do that? It doesn't seem safe.
And then after all that work, he just gets choked and slammed into the river. So
yeah, that is absolutely bonkers bananas crazy. That like, oh my gosh, that is nuts. I do think that Cap is firmly a Hufflepuff to me because he is so fiercely loyal to Bucky. Like, and I think that loyalty is one of those traits that can easily
hurt you.
It can. I think you can be fiercely loyal to a fault, and I think Steve is.
Yeah.
And I think he is Hufflepuff to a core, and that's speaking from a fellow Hufflepuff, so I get it.
Me too.
Because, yes, Cap is brave, which
he's a Slytherin.
Cap is brave, which is a Gryffindor trait, but he is also too loyal. Even if what he believes in is wrong, he is still loyal to it.
We had a whole hour-long conversation sorting all the characters.
Oh, we've talked about doing that for an episode.
Loyalty is not a characteristic people typically see as going bad, but I do think that loyalty is one of those traits that can be. I don't know. I think it can go rogue sometimes if you place your loyalty to the wrong person.
And we've seen that quite a bit in especially the Cap trilogy. Especially in Winter Soldier in this film with Rumlow and Crossbones, as soon as he mentions Bucky, like any sort of objective, he just stops everything. Any objective that he has, like it completely goes to the wayside because now he's just thinking about Buck. So yeah, I definitely agree with you on that.
I think personally, sometimes you need to cut your losses with some people. And, obviously be fiercely loyal to the people you love. I get that. But, sometimes... And this is a full debate we've already had that, is Bucky responsible for what he's done?
Oh, okay.
And Cap seems to think no. I think that sometimes it is... I think that sometimes Bucky is too far gone, in a lot of sense. And I think that he kind of Cap has his vision clouded because of his loyalty.
I guess, but going back to the first Captain America movie, Bucky was his only friend. He was the only one that was there for him, and get it. And I mean, yeah, I guess it may cloud his judgment, but I think just I don't know, that's just who Cap is, and he's that's his friend. I don't know.
To kind of put this in maybe more of a real world scenario, if your friend does something bad, they're still your friend and you still love them, but sometimes you gotta cut your losses.
But I think it's a little different with Bucky's situation. He was literally brainwashed. He didn't have control over what.
Well, and that's the debate.
So, I guess I would say, no, I don't think, he, you can, he's two different people. When he's, brainwashed, and you get those trigger words in him, he's not the same person. Obviously, when Sam and Cap are talking to him after he's, kind of come to, you can tell, just how different he is. So, I don't know. I don't think he should be, held responsible, and I don't think, I understand, he killed Tony's parents, but,
Whoa, spoiler alert. Jeez, we haven't gotten that far.
What we're talking about. I don't know, I just don't think he, should be held responsible for something that he was brainwashed and forced to do.
Well, and, I'm kind of torn on this, because part of me thinks that even if he wasn't in his right mind, it was still... Because I've equated this to, like, a serial killer or something, that, like, somebody that had a psychotic break and committed crimes, they're still responsible for their crimes. No, they might not be mentally well.
I get that, but they had a choice. Like, I feel like Bucky, like, he didn't have a choice. Like, he was brainwashed and told, like, this is your mission. Like, you need to accomplish it. Like, I think, like, if he was given a choice in his own mind, like, he wouldn't have done that.
You know, and I guess I've never really thought about that, and it brings up a good point. Like, you know, did he do it, or but he, like, later in the Siberian kind of missile silo, Tony kind of has him in a headlock and says, like, do you even remember them?
Oh, and
he's like, I remember them all. So, like, to your point, like, you know, does he be responsible, or should he be held accountable and responsible for that when he clearly remembers everything? It's just whether or not he had the choice to do it or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's really the debate on whether or not he had a conscious choice in the matter.
Mm-hmm. He didn't have conscious choice, but he knew what was going on.
Because Matthew thinks it's pretty cut and dry, that, like, he should be held accountable, and that
they all should be.
Well, yeah, but, like, Bucky specifically.
Spoken like a true team Tony.
I mean, there needs to be held accountability for them.
We figure out that he's not the only Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
And there's been several others that have been also brainwashed.
There's 5.
And some of them seem a lot more dangerous than Bucky, that is for certain.
They were a lot more dangerous than Bucky before the super serum. They had the most Hydra kills even before super serum was put in them. And Bucky has confirmed 50, and that team has more than him before serum. And they got serum December 16th, 17th of 1991. And they're 20, 30 years old. They're 20, 30 years old.
For sure.
So they were dangerous well before serum. Kind of like what the Doctor said in the first Avengers. If you're good, it makes you more good. If you're evil, it turns you more evil, because Red Skull had the serum in him.
Yep.
More often.
And then we jump to Queens, New York, and we get introduced to Peter Parker, a.k.a. Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yes.
I am so excited. My best friend, who we're hoping is going to be on our homecoming episode, hopefully. She's a nurse, so her schedule is hectic. But hopefully she will be on. She is a massive Tom Holland Spider-Man fan, so she has been, like, waiting for me to get introduced to Tom Holland Spider-Man.
Oh, he's such a good Spider-Man. I love him.
I feel between the 3 Spider-Men that we've had, he's the best mixture of them.
He's the closest. Yeah, he's the closest to Peter Parker.
I've seen the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and I've seen the first Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. My brothers were, like, a massive fan of the Tobey Maguire ones when we were kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was too. Like, so my birthday is the first week in May, and those movies, Marvel movies always come out the first week of May. A lot of Marvel movies have actually come out on my birthday, and I think the second Spider-Man film actually came out on May 3rd. So, like, I grew up, like, having a birthday and being able to go see Spider-Man in the theaters because that was the new movie. So, like, Toby really holds a place, like, close to my heart, but Tom is just, I think in total, like, he is, like, the closest to, yeah.
So sweet and so fun, and I love him, like, in the fight later at the airport. I don't know. I love how, like, kind of dorky he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. He really nailed, like, he's a high schooler. Like, he talks too much. He's very awkward. He's trying to overcompensate at times. Like, he really nailed that.
Yeah.
And then Hawkeye is helping Wanda escape, and she basically... So I read something somewhere where, like, because she can control the Mind Stone, she can basically
because she was made by the Mind Stone.
Yeah. So because she can shift the density of vision using the Mind Stone, so she basically, like, makes him super heavy and, like, pushes him through the floor.
And I really like the brevity in that scene, because all of a sudden, you know, Hawkeye almost plays the comedic, you know, kind of role in that scene, and and Vision and Hawkeye are like kind of fighting, and like then Wanda's coming in very emotional and pushes him all the way down, and then Hawkeye just looks down at the crater and is like, "Oh well, we gotta go now."
Cap needs us.
We don't know enough about Hawkeye to know, like, but it does seem like he would be Team Tony. I was a little surprised initially to see him Team Cap.
I guess I never really thought about that. Like, to me, it just seemed like he is again just kind of a loyal. Maybe I wouldn't say he's a Hufflepuff, but he's very loyal to his team, and if Cap comes to him, and he's going to do whatever he can to help Cap out.
Well, we had a conversation about Spider-Man. Like, I think Spider-Man was only Team Tony just because Tony got to him first, but like when he says like he wants to fight for the little guy, like that sounds like Team Cap.
That's what Cap is doing.
Yeah. So we were talking about this when we watched it again,
I firmly believe that the only reason that Spider-Man is on Team Iron Man is because Iron Man was the one who recruited him. If Steve had gone to Brooklyn and recruited him, it would have made perfect sense for him. But when he's just like, when you have the powers that I have and I don't do anything, those bad things happen because of you. I'm like, that's literally what Steve is fighting for in this case. But it just happened that Tony got to him first.
So the reason why Spider-Man is with Tony is more because he was on Team Tony in the comic Civil War. He was Team Tony in the comics. And Spider-Man...
Just from the context that we are given within this specific film, it makes sense to say that he would have ended up on whoever's team got him first.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Within the context of the movie, that's for sure.
But if he was on Team Cap, we wouldn't have the next 3 Spider-Mans. That's the thing. The Spider-Mans happened because of Tony and how Tony helped him.
Yep.
Yeah.
After this.
Little scene between Cap and Sharon, which I was not a fan of. I thought that they were weird together.
I mean, we're not a huge fan of the kiss.
Yeah, like I thought it was weird too. Like I think like the part I like the most is Sam and Bucky in the car, like just their reactions, like that makes it kind of funny. But yeah, the kiss for me is I could have done without that.
What really gets to me is if you really think about their age difference, it's a little gross.
Very, very true. And I don't know if they made it awkward just because, like, I know in Winter Soldier, like, they, Natasha, like, kind of pokes fun at him and is very much, like, invading, like, his dating life and stuff. And, like, obviously Cap hasn't dated, so he probably would be awkward and stuff. So I don't know. So I guess, like, I don't like it, but I guess for it playing out, like, it kind of plays, like, out like how it probably would have because that's not his thing, like, but
it's still weird that he was trying to he kissed, kind of like what you were saying,
he kissed his girlfriend's niece,
his dead girlfriend's niece.
Yeah.
It just seemed a little inappropriate.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. Like in the scene, like he's well aware of the connection between Sharon and
it would be one thing if he didn't know.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. It'd still be weird to me,
but she knew. That's the thing.
It'd be weird in like kissing Leia. Because they didn't know, but like they knew, so it'd be like, oh yeah, they're kissing cousins now.
She knew well before and was flirting with him in Winter Soldier. She knew the entire time that he and her aunt had a thing, which makes it even weirder that she knew.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess on that end, like if I was in the same room with Chris Evans, like I'd probably flirt with him too. So.
Well, Ant-Man kind of does when we. That's a good segue. Ant-Man kind of does, where when they bring in Ant-Man, he's like, "What time zone are we in?" And because they're in Germany, and which my parents lived in Germany for about a year, so I was trying to figure out what town they were in, but I think it was at Leipzig.
Yes.
I think it's Leipzig.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's anywhere close to where my parents were. Ant-Man is like starstruck, and
Oh yeah, and he's thanks for thinking of me.
That's like an everyday like saying. I
We
say
use
that
that
all the time. Yeah,
time.
thanks for thinking of me.
yeah, I love this fight. I think it's so fun at the airport.
Yeah.
I was a little weirded out that there was like 0 people in this airport. Have you ever been to an airport that's empty?
Not empty.
That's not 3
we fly
a.m.
out of Milwaukee quite a bit, and it's not very busy there, but there's still some people.
This fight is really, really fun, and I love Spider-Man just being like wacky and like
being a Gen Z.
Being very Gen Z, yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a beautifully done scene for just how chaotic and destructive it is.
Oh yeah, for sure. I love that he's like, that shield doesn't obey the laws of physics.
And just bouncing off of everything somehow.
I love where he's like, Tony Stark is like underoos, and because underoos apparently was a brand of underwear in the 70s, which is when Spider-Man premiered.
And there's like with that, like there's so many like good one-liners in this fight. So like that, like I don't know, I didn't carbon date him, like
yeah, you know that really old movie.
Like it's so good. You guys have any orange slices? Like it's supposed to be such a heavy, like chaotic, like just emotional scene with them fighting one another finally, but like you can't help but laugh at it because they just put so much comedy in it.
Yeah, there's when Ant-Man shrinks down and he's going into Tony's suit and he's kind of like ripping it apart.
I was gonna say that.
Oh, okay, yeah, and he's like, "It's your conscience. We haven't talked in a while."
What is up with these movies and making weird Pinocchio references?
Yeah, I mean,
in Age of Ultron, I was like very weirded out by the "We've got no strings to pull me down" line.
Yeah, or like just the very creepy like James Spader, "I've got no strings," and I'm just like, oh, it's so creepy.
Not even to mention that movie is creepy. Like,
not a fan of Pinocchio. It's a little scary for me.
On so many levels, too.
Yes.
I love that he's like, this is your conscience. I love that he turns in, Ant-Man turns really big and he catches Rhodey midair.
And just throws him.
And Tony's like, give me back my Rhodey.
With Spider-Man fighting Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Oh yeah,
the terminal.
You love the relationship between Falcon and Bucky.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. Can you move your seat up?
Nope.
They're my favorite. I absolutely love those two, that duo.
Prior to, I feel like this movie, I was like, because Falcon and the Winter Soldier is like, it's relatively new, and I was like, it's such a random, like, pairing to put in a show together, and now I get it.
Mm-hmm.
They're brothers. That's how like my brother and I have like talked to each other.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's how that's how my brothers talk to each other.
Yeah, they're just brothers at this point, even though they barely know each other.
Or like, I'm gonna punch you in the face and then tell you I love you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just that fight scene with Bucky freaking out when Peter stopped his metal arm from punching and realized it was a 15-year-old. Just stopped a grown man's punch. Like it was nothing.
Yeah. And then Spider-Man, like, basically lassos, for lack of a better word. I have been to a rodeo once.
No, he was going to put more web on
He tries to, like, trap Big Ant-Man.
Oh, yeah.
Which, apparently, Ant-Man was, people didn't know that Big Ant-Man was going to be a thing in this movie.
Yeah. Until
they, edited him out of the trailers.
Yeah. Or the big Ant-Man right before.
They were talking about doing the first Ant-Man movie, and even going into like the Ant-Man and the Wasp. Like they really wanted to save like that moment where he turned into Giant Man or Big Ant-Man, however you want to say it. Like they wanted to save it for that movie.
Yeah, but it got spoiled. I think it was like days before because that's when the Lego set came out of that scene in Ant-Man was huge.
Yep.
So it was literally days before.
That's so funny that you mentioned that, because I remember seeing that and I'm just like, Sammy, just walk away from the Target aisle. Like, don't look at that. There are spoilers here. Like, and I feel like, I mean, I guess, like, these toy companies need to, like,
No, it was the Funko Pop.
Make their stuff.
It was the Funko Pop.
And the Lego set. Yeah, but this movie's Funko Pop figurines and a Lego set depicting
the airport battle featuring Giant Man
was released and advertised before the movie's release date.
Yep.
Yeah, we've had I think a couple like characters or things ruined by like Funko releases, which is a bummer.
Well, and you said Spider-Man was completely edited out of the trailers as well.
Spider-Man was completely taken out of the original trailers because everyone wanted him to be a surprise.
That's so insane to me that these movies are doing that, because...
But also at that time, they didn't know if Tom Holland was going to be in it or not.
I know. I'm just saying, like, my only other frame of reference for, like, analyzing trailers is Harry Potter, and, like, they never... Because obviously everybody had read the books. So we all knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And so there was no, like, hiding it.
But in the comics, Giant Man is not Ant-Man. He's someone else.
In
the comics. Because in the comics, Paul Rudd can't turn into Giant Man. In the comics. At least in the main arcs.
This, you mentioned it briefly before, but he has this line when he turns back Smalley where he's like, does anyone have any orange slices? Is that, I don't remember that from Ant-Man, from watching Ant-Man.
It didn't happen in Ant-Man.
Was that a reference to the comics, or is that a...
There is, when they're in the first Ant-Man movie, there is a bowl. It's not like verbally referenced, but there is a bowl in the kitchen of orange slices.
I think it's supposed to help, like, with the headache from going big to small, or small to big. It helps with the headache.
You should probably ask the same company that did the research on the plums. They might know an answer.
We figure out that Rhodey basically is paralyzed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Rhodey.
There's a line we've already recorded our Doctor Strange episode. I know we jumped ahead, but we recorded our Doctor Strange episode, and there's a line at the beginning of Doctor Strange where they reference a naval captain or Navy
Air Force captain.
Yeah, that gets injured
in an experimental suit.
Yeah, which I thought was really clever.
And it's nice that it's kind of all connecting in there still.
I love those little seemingly throwaway lines that do actually have context to them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the reason why he needs orange slices is for
blood sugar?
Because his blood sugar is low from going from small back to big.
Going from, we're getting this information from the very scientific source, Cora.
Yeah. No, but it is also...
we figure out that Zemo has been imitating Bucky this whole time to frame him via prosthetics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which, I've done makeup for a long time. Prosthetics are not that foolproof.
But also remember, it's on a security camera from across the street.
It's very grainy footage.
Yes.
I'm just saying, unless it's applied by a master makeup artist, it's not going to look that good.
It's 360p at max.
That's giving it some extra credit.
There's a prison in the middle of the ocean, the Raft.
Yes. The Raft is pretty cool. I like that place. I mean, I don't want to go there, but I think it's pretty cool.
It reminds me of Azkaban.
Oh,
the interesting thing was when they find the dead body, which is who Zemo...
is it Theo Broussard? The psychiatrist guy?
That's actually, where is it?
That's Joe Russo.
Yeah, it's Joe Russo.
Yep.
The directors. And he's credited, where was it?
Is he like a Hitchcock where he needs to put himself in every movie?
No, he just wanted to.
I think he also, I don't remember what role it is, but he's also in Winter Soldier as well.
Oh, and he also has a small cameo in Infinity War? No, Endgame.
Yeah.
He won't say what it is, but he's also in that one.
But he's also in that one too, so maybe a little bit.
He was credited as Guzi Ogbo, which is the name of his television production company.
What a name. Yeah, so Tony goes to the prison to to basically have a truce
with Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
So that Cap was right.
And he basically like disables the sound on
the A and the AV.
Yeah. And so he can show the fact that Bruce
talk.
Yeah, that they can talk freely, and he shows the video of that Friday showed him.
Yeah. So he learns that they're going to Moscow. Or not Moscow, it's
Siberia.
So
Yep.
That was close.
Country. And then he goes back into his... Is it technically the Quinjet? It's not the Quinjet, is it? Or is it like just his plane?
I think it's just in a regular helicopter.
Yeah, I think it's like a helicopter.
Yeah. We don't see a whole lot of the Quinjets.
He pushes the button, and his like suit forms around him.
And he goes into...
It is so freaking cool.
But we see Zemo get into the base.
Yes.
So we see Zemo breaking away the ice, putting in the codes.
We're in like a Soviet bunker, basically.
Yeah.
Yep.
A Hydra bunker.
And we see all of the, for lack of a better word, the other Winter Soldiers, I guess you would call them, like in basically tanks.
They were frozen in time.
Yeah, Cap and Bucky think that they're going in to like fight these guys.
Yeah, and then
surprise.
Yes.
Well, yeah, because he's like, I'm only getting one heat signal or whatever, and they see like, what is it, like 5 or 6 people in these tanks.
They see 5 tanks, and they see a bullet hole in each one.
Mm-hmm. And Tony sees the video of his parents' death, which is absolutely heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't get any easier to watch. Like anytime I watch that,
he always wore a mask in everything.
He who?
Winter Soldier.
Okay.
When he was on missions, he always had his face covering, so no one could see his face, and he didn't have it for this one.
Okay.
I
think it's just so because they wanted the Tony to have the reveal that Bucky was the one.
It's just weird since every other time in the past for any mission he was always wearing his mask.
No, it's a cry. I don't know if it was just storytelling wise, it just made sense not to have his mask on, but it's just maybe he forgot his mask. Hey, it all happens to us. We've been through COVID. Like
It's so funny after COVID, like when you get to fully see people's faces again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's like you forget what like your coworker's full face looked like. You forget what the supermarket clerk that you see every week. Yeah. You forget what their whole face looks like. After this, I am firmly on Team Tony. After learning about his parents.
That Cap knew.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the nail in the coffin for me, was that I feel like it was Cap's responsibility to tell his friend this happened, and I think it was wrong on his part to still be loyal to Bucky.
And then when Iron Man asked Cap why he didn't tell me or tell him,
he thought he was saving him
because he wanted to protect Bucky. But then Iron Man said, "What about us? We were friends," which I think broke Cap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I can see that, but like on the other hand, like it's been well established since the first Avengers movie, like they're more of acquaintances than good friends to start off with. So like,
I think like his loyalties always lie with Bucky.
I guess my biggest concern is where was the big motivation for Steve to have to tell Tony about it?
Because
they're a team.
They're a team, and his dad helped create.
Yeah,
Captain
I guess,
America.
but what would telling him, like, would that have made anything better? Or, like, I don't know, I don't think telling him would have done...
I think Tony might have handled it better if he was told.
Knowing Tony and how much of a hothead he is, he probably wouldn't have, honestly. Yeah. He probably wouldn't have wanted to work with Cap, period.
Yeah, so I guess at this, like, I don't know what telling him would have done.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, like, so I guess that's why I'm like, I don't think it would have. It's the only thing that would have saved him is that at this point he would have already known, but then I don't know what that have done to them as a team. Like, would would Tony still even want to work with Cap? Would they still even, like, have formed the Avengers if, like, he knew what had happened?
Yeah, exactly. What problem are we solving by Tony knowing?
Yeah, and a lot of what we've seen so far based on, like, Tony's relationship with his parents is how much he did not like his dad, or how much, like, him and his dad fought with one another. And that was kind of addressed in Iron Man 2 quite a bit. But we didn't get a whole lot from, like, how he felt about his mom, which we obviously got to see that in that barf scene earlier in the movie. But other than that, like, you as a viewer are almost kind of assuming that, like, he really maybe didn't care what happened to his dad. I don't know.
No, because it seems like he was more hurt that Bucky killed his mom, not so much of his dad.
I agree with that.
Because right after that, he said he killed my mom.
Yeah, I think the line should have been he killed my parents.
But he didn't get along with his dad. He got along with his mom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he specifically said, like, he killed his mom.
Yeah, so I think his motivation and his anger stemmed from his mom dying instead of his dad dying.
I think that's why he was more hurt, was because he learned who killed his mom.
Yeah, I think the debate here really is, would Cap be obligated? Should Cap have been obligated to tell him?
I mean, Cap's best friend killed the creator of Captain America. Without Tony's dad, there wouldn't be a Captain America.
But also, to their point, like, there is a serious debate. We have to debate whether or not Bucky was in his right mind and whether or not he's responsible.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes these movies so great, especially this one, is just, like, there's so many extra layers to peel back on the complexity of these issues between the two of them. So
they're like ogres.
Yeah.
As soon as they said peel back, and it's like, someone's going to think of onions and we're going to bring up a Shrek reference.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess
I don't think there's a right answer.
No, I don't know. Yeah, I guess not, because you can see both sides, but I guess I just believe Bucky wasn't in his right mind. Like, he was brainwashed at the time to do that, and I just don't think the friendship between Cap and Tony was there enough for Cap to want to tell, and I don't really think there was a need to tell, because I don't think it would have done any good.
Right. At least not, like, when, like, it would have made sense for Cap to tell Tony, like, hey, my best friend, he was brainwashed, killed your mom. Like, I don't really think that there was a good opportunity or like, a real reason to bring that up.
Because I think Cap...
I don't know. I'm in two minds about it, because on one hand I feel like despite their maybe contentious relationship, their, them not having as much of a formal relationship that between Cap and Tony, I know the decision I would make, and I would feel obligated to tell the person, but I don't know. I'm kind of torn, honestly. But I am intrigued to see where their relationship goes from here in future Avengers movies.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's saying
that. Definitely plays a role. Yes,
we'll see.
You will see.
We figured out that Zemo's family was killed in Sokovia when they in the events of Ultron, basically.
The Zemo's wife is Anne Russo.
Yeah, because throughout the movie we have these moments where he's listening to the last message,
a voicemail.
Yeah,
pretty much, which is Anne Russo. But this entire movie was caused because he wanted to break up the Avengers. Finding out that
he wanted to break them up from the inside.
Yeah,
kind of, sort of what Loki was trying to do initially, but a little bit.
Yeah,
in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a little bit.
There's a fight scene between Cap and Tony, and Tony's like, my father made that shield, and he like Cap throws down the shield, and that just like broke my heart into a million pieces.
But the scene where Iron Man is shooting the laser the laser beam at Cap's shield is pretty much an exact replica of Civil War Episode 7.
Yep. And I kind of mentioned that there was a scene that was like it's a perfect splash panel. It looks just like it is. It's like ripped out of the comics. That's the one I was mentioning, and I just remember watching that in like the movie and in the theaters for the first time, and I'm just like, this is like straight. They ripped this straight from the comic book for this.
The scene where Hawkeye shoots Ant-Man from a cover of another comic arc. I just don't remember. It wasn't Civil War. I just don't remember which one.
I think it's an older Hawkeye issue. But yeah, like I remember like just watching this movie in general, like just like seeing like they call them the splash panels in like the comic books, just how like these huge scenes that just cover 2 full pages because you can't fit it all in one. Like this movie was just full of those type of scenes, and I absolutely loved it.
There's a little montage where Cap sends Tony like a letter and the cell phone, basically kind of apologizing, but not really.
I mean, I think it was the best type of apology that Cap could offer underneath the circumstances, knowing that Tony was still mad at him.
Yeah,
like I think still just offering. Yeah, like I mean, he's still gonna be there. Like if Tony needs them, or like if somebody like needs help, like he's still gonna be there.
It's like, hey, we don't need to be best friends, but I'm here if you need me.
Yeah.
It's also probably the greatest Stan Lee cameo.
Oh my gosh, that's probably
movie.
one of my favorite ones. Package for Tony Stank.
It's like
I love that one.
I love that Rhodey's like, I'm never gonna let that die.
No,
yeah,
we're never gonna let that down.
No.
I love that one.
Table for 2 for Spank.
Mm-hmm.
And Cap breaks the other people out of prison out of the raft.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the movie, and then we just have our end credit scenes.
Yeah, nothing too crazy with there's nothing too crazy with the last credit scene.
Because Bucky gets refrozen, and then we see
Spider-Man.
we see Cap and T'Challa in Wakanda.
Yeah, talking.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get Spider-Man, and I love the like. So who hit you? Oh, Steve. Steve from Brooklyn. I love Aunt May. I think she's so sweet.
And his friend was huge.
Yeah.
His friend was so big.
So yeah, that's pretty much a wrap on the movie. What was it like for you guys to like revisit it?
So interesting. Like just knowing like where these characters go in the future and what happens to them. Yeah, like I don't know, like I really love this movie, and I don't know, like I think it kind of sets up I don't know, a little bit for what happens in the future, and
I feel like it sets up quite a bit because you mentioned it before, like Zemo's primary focus was I'm breaking up the Avengers. I'm going to kill him from the inside. I don't want the Avengers anymore. And there's going to come a point, obviously, that we're going to need Avengers. You don't know the reason why right now at this point, but like we're going to need the Avengers again. So it sets up a really interesting kind of arc as to how our heroes or how all these characters we've seen kind of come back again.
Yeah, because they're still a team, but you're not really feeling the whole like team aspect. Yeah, I don't know. This still just, for me, like, is just one of my favorites. And I think because, like, Tony and Cap are so, like, firm, like, in their beliefs, and, like, I feel like as fans, like, whichever one you're drawn to, you're just, I don't know, you just can't help but, like, root for, like, your team.
It's like Team Jacob and Team Edward.
Yeah.
It's like the Marvel equivalent.
Well, and I really enjoy that there's not. I like this debate because there's not a right answer.
Yeah, there's really not a clear answer, and I like how it evolves and how it I guess plays out. Like I definitely don't want to spoil anything or say too much. But
there's a really good payoff after.
Yeah,
I swear, this is the chunk of films that I swear everybody has been like, I can't wait for you to get to this. I can't wait for you to get to this. I can't wait for you to... And it's just like, I'm trying to go in as blind as I can and not have high expectations.
Yeah, no, I like hearing just everyone's like different opinions and like what they think, like just because like for the longest time, like it was just like Tyler and I like talking and like having like our conversations, and we don't really like disagree a whole lot. And then it hasn't been until recently that like his mom and like even like my mom and like sister and like his sister have like all like started like watching all of the movies, so it's kind of nice to like talk a little bit, but I feel like they're still just not like on our level, like
and it's just nice. It's nice in general just to like see people getting to experience it and hear their reactions to it for the first time, because like especially with Civil War, this came out in 2016. It's been 6 years since we've got to experience it for the first time.
Like almost all of our friends are online friends, so like obviously we're fans of different things, and what he has an encyclopedic knowledge on, I don't, and vice versa. And I think we get a lot of discourse in our own relationship only because we are such different people, and we have such different opinions on things. So it's interesting to see your dynamic as well.
What did you guys think of the movie overall? And I guess like where does it rank in what you've watched so far?
There wasn't a lot in this movie that lined up with the Civil War besides the end of it. Was really the only thing that lined up with the comic. The rest of it really didn't.
Your favorite is Ant-Man.
Yes.
Of the ones we've covered so far.
Yeah, so far Ant-Man is my favorite. But that's mainly because
I love Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd is hilarious.
So far, my favorite is probably Age of Ultron. This one is pretty up there, though, personally. I really like the discord. I like how not black and white this movie is. It's very thought-provoking.
Yeah.
I feel like you could get something out of it every time you watch it.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I think that's one of the reasons I like this movie so much is like probably like the politics kind of aspect to that. So I like, like debating or like, just kind of seeing like both sides of an issue, and, I guess just a good debate on, why you think which side is right or wrong or whatever. So
yeah, I mean, I think this movie, like I said at the beginning, it's just a fun movie. Like the battle sequences, the fight scenes, the cinematography is really fun. I really like the character development as well. It's just a very well crafted movie. Tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, we are, a lot of our updates will be on Instagram, so at Team Unicorn Podcast. We upload to, we have our podcast in visual form, so we're on YouTube. Yep. And we are on Apple, Spotify, Anchor, Google, Amazon. So got kind of the
pretty much all the major ones. Yeah, we just got on Apple, so.
Well, thank you guys so much for being a part of our Captain America Civil War episode. We loved having you. But, we really enjoyed having you. Y'all go check them out at Team Unicorn Podcast on Instagram.
Yeah, yep. Team Unicorn.
And next week we will be covering Doctor Strange, which was a fun time. Yeah. Little bit of a departure from stuff we've covered so far.
Yeah.
And we'll see y'all next week. Bye.
If you would like to send us any feedback or any messages, you can follow us over on Instagram at thefanclub_podcast or on Twitter at fanclub_podcast. Or you can discuss each episode with us over on our subreddit, which is reddit.com/r/thefanclubpodcast. And make sure that you tune in every Marvel Monday.